we're going to put 600s BCE to roughly when? Okay, we're going, remember BCE, we're counting down.
600 CE.
Okay, the golden age was the 5th century BCE. Okay, let's just put the 300s BCE. Let's look at the Greeks. Thinking of these 4 questions, what could we say would be differences?
They had city-states which governed themselves.
Okay, so city-state, what I would say is main political unit. And that would have to do with that question, right? What was the other word for a city-state?
Polis.
Polis. And what else could we?
Democracy.
Okay, that would be, we'll just put those 2 together. And keep in mind, it's not exactly like ours that we have today. What about their rise? Did anyone make note of that?
Are they not really sure how they works?
Well, what were the 2 other civilizations?
It was like
The
Minoans?
Yeah.
And I have close.
isn't it like the mice?
Mycenaean.
Mycenaeans. Okay. But if you had to guess, I mean, it's through conquest also. So wouldn't that be sort of a similarity? In both cases, you're going to fight for power and defeat other people. But they obviously in the Mediterranean they're a little different. Any legacies that are a little different? Okay.
Architecture?
Okay. Architecture, stone, what? Columns. Okay. Marble. Okay. Olympics. Sorry. What else?
Philosophers?
Okay. Yeah, we'll put that out there. Logic, reason, and these are shortened answers. But when you look at the Athenians, aren't they really all about this kind of stuff? The arts and perfection, architecture, philosophy. Now Sparta, were they a little different? When you go back and work on your newspaper articles, I think if you do it the way, if you follow the assignment, you'll probably have a different feel. I'm thinking the Sparta newspaper ought to have a little more of an edge than the Athenian newspaper. Those of you that are doing that, just something to think about. So these would be some of the Greek differences here. So let's go to the Han. How about the way they rise up?
They defeated the Qin dynasty.
Okay, so they conquered, conquest, defeat the Qin. Yeah, Liu Bang, who was a peasant leader. Now, you know, is there such a story in Greek history of some peasant rebel? No. Really, the Greeks,
They're spread out.
yeah, they're spread out and they don't have this, and that would be one of the differences. Why? Right? Unity. Well, hang on. Let's not put that in the middle. Let's put, how would we say that?
No one.
Not unified. And when we look at China, their empire is going to be unified. And who's at the top?
Emperor.
Okay, you have the emperor. They don't have city-states. I don't think we talked about this in this class, but what the Han do is they divide the country up into what we would call military districts and put their people on the throne. What else could we say about how the Han ran What principles did they use?
Confucian.
Okay, so, and that's a philosophy, but Confucian principles, which we'll look at when we get to belief systems. So the idea of relationships, ruler, subject, father, son, husband, wife, to have harmony in society, you've got to have these relationships in balance. Yes.
Instead of democracy, they had the mandate of heaven.
Good. And wouldn't that go with this? Isn't that what they used to justify why they were in power? So, mandate of heaven. And it's sort of a circular argument. Why are you the emperor? Because the heavens, appointed me. But really what happened? Yeah, you beat someone out of the position. You basically killed off your enemies. Okay? What about legacy? Okay?
Paper.
Compass, paper, think military. Well,
Terracotta.
gunpowder, in terms of terracotta soldiers. Do we talk about magnificent buildings that are still standing in China from this time period? No, because they don't use stone. They used a lot of wood. So guess what? 2,000 years down the road, that stuff's rotten. I mean, it's disintegrated. So you don't have a lot of their structures that remain. Any other inventions? Okay. Well, they have chrome-plated swords. Did we see that in the video?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's put chrome plating. And someone said let's put the iron plow. I think we get the point. Isn't that a pretty big difference? You don't see a lot of inventions over here. It's more ideas. Whereas with the Han, they're very practical, and they're trying to figure out better ways to farm, better ways to travel, that kind of stuff. What about their decline and fall?
Taxes increase.
Okay, so let's put high taxes,
Emperor died. People from the
weak rulers. You remember the baby mama drama? Court intrigue brings about weak rulers because all these women, all his wives are competing to have the next emperor. So weak rulers, peasant revolts, and nomadic invasions, which that leads us to a pretty big accomplishment. What did they start here? The Great Wall. So, I mean, that's a lot of stuff. But what now? Well, the Qin started, but remember, they're just sort of linking old defensive walls together, and really it's not completed for several hundred years later. The key is to remember the focus questions. Because, look, did we put mythology up there? Sorry, Elizabeth. Okay. We didn't put Greek mythology up there. We could have put what? Polytheistic for the Greeks, ancestor worship for the Chinese. Okay. We could go on the whole period with that. Okay. Questions before we move on? Okay, the next empire. This is probably one of those empires that in middle school, did you ever study the Romans? Where did they fight?
In the Roman area.
Okay, and the Colosseum, now think about it. We go to the Lawrence Joel Coliseum. You have the Coliseum out in LA. I mean, on Saturdays and Sundays, we pile people and watch football and whatever other sport into Coliseums, which once again, that's one of those connections to the Roman Empire over 2,000 years ago. But the Colosseum could seat 50,000 people, and the Romans would pack that place. And these gladiators, basically there were locker rooms underneath the floor of the Colosseum. and they would go out and they would do battle, but what else did they bring into the Colosseum? Does anyone know?
Lions.
Yeah, animals from all over their empire. Now, if you had to describe the Roman Empire, which the video calls it the ultimate empire, they're sort of obsessed with this empire, how would you describe its boundaries? What, geographically? What was dead center in their empire? What geographic feature?
Peninsula.
What?
Peninsula.
Mountains.
Has to do with water. Well, they called it their lake. The Mediterranean. Okay, think the Roman Empire, the heart of it's in Rome, which is in the modern day country of Italy. The boot, which sticks out in the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, I'll put an image up here in a second, and you'll see it online in the textbook. But the Mediterranean Sea, the Romans call that Mare Nostrum, our sea. Sort of like today, pro teams talk about our house. Okay, this is our house. You know, talk about their field. Well, the Mediterranean was their house. And remember, Mediterranean, you know, is like a highway. They could ship stuff across from Africa, the Middle East. And the Romans are going to dominate. And they're going to build an empire that's about the size of what Alexander built. Okay? So what we want to look at, and we're going to focus on the rise and how they ran things, legacy and decline, but we're going to take a different approach. If you'll go to Edmodo, if you're not already there, okay? We'll come back. You'll see the assignment. I want you to work with the group that you are working with, your newspaper. And what we're going to do is you're going to work in the group, your SAS group, maybe. Yeah, the SAS activity, the newspaper group. Okay, sorry. Now, go ahead and pull your laptop lid back up and get logged back on. You guys have done jigsaw stuff before. What I want to do is assign. Remember, you have to enable editing. There are what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we'll have 6 groups. So I'll probably double up. I don't know which one will double up in terms of your groups. But what I want you to do is once you get there, upload that into Google Drive. Actually, only one of you really need to do it because what can you do in Google? Share it. Go ahead and share it. Whoever has Jake, share it with him. Go ahead and get your online text. It's chapter 6, I think, that deals with Rome. I didn't put that in the directions. But once you get in your groups, I will assign you your little section of the Persian chart. And we'll probably have to finish up Monday, because what we're going to do is, let's say these 3 guys are in their group. They're doing, let's say they're doing political. They're going to fill in all that information the best they can. And then when we come in Monday, they're going to be regrouped. So one of them will go with representatives from each of the other columns or rows, and then another will go with a different group. So you'll bring all the information together. So you're only working on one aspect in that Persian chart today. Yeah, you guys have the political part. That's why I divided it up, because they start out as sort of that. Okay, political, economic. Who has religion and near?
Or I can.
Hold on, I think I gave them religion and near.
Someone got social.
Yeah, I gave them social, but then I gave them another one. You guys take arts. But look at the bullet points, because there's a lot more to it than just arts. Yeah. So you guys don't have arts, you just have social. Yeah, we just had to double up.
All right, so we'll give this the